Hey, yeah, so we're back. I'm Bob Beausoleil, and I'm the author of Wounded Eagle, Addiction, Recovery, and Healing Through the Eyes of an Eagle Scout. I'm a sexual abuse survivor. I'm also a sober alcoholic. I live with post-traumatic stress disorder. Quite a cocktail, isn't it, folks? Where we left off the last time was we were going to get ready to start talking about the spiritual experience that I had on the evening of May 10th of 2023. For those of you who've had spiritual experiences, we know that they come in all forms and all varieties. Some are very easy to understand, some are very, very dramatic, and I've had both. The important thing is, when I'm having a spiritual experience, is I'm putting my faith in a power that I don't understand. And I choose to call that power God. There's a church right across the street from me, so this is what's giving me strength right now to talk about this, because I'm going to talk about the things that nobody ever wants to talk about. Okay? The spiritual experience. The night that I understood what happened to me, that all of the lies that I had been telling myself for the last 48 years were stripped away from me. Think about that. 48 years of my life, I kept a secret inside of me that nobody knew. Nobody. Because there was so much guilt and shame about it. So what do you think the first things that came out of me, literally came out of me when I said, God, I offer myself to build with me and do with me as you will. Literally, this energy that was inside of me started to relax. And what happened next? The first thing that came out of me, literally, the feeling of shame. My spiritual experience was very messy. There were lots of tears. There was crying. There was revulsion, anger. And the fear that came out next, to get that out of my body, to say, okay, fine, you're going to talk about this openly, that dissipated. And the last thing that came out of me was the guilt. Now let's talk about the guilt for a second. When this happened to me, I was in a tent. I was in a sleeping bag. The man actually never physically touched me, but the presence was so close to him that I told myself that whatever it takes, you are going to survive this with the least amount of harm possible. And just before I blacked out in terror, there was a little white light that I've always connected to my connection with God. Just before I passed out in terror, that connection went out. And then I went black. My next conscious memories was I was laying on my right-hand side. I looked over my shoulder, and this man was sitting there by a campfire. A very distinctive Smokey the Bear hat. He used to smoke a pipe. I loved this man. And I thought, what have you just done? My trust was broken. So if you think I have trust issues today, they're getting better. But obviously something like this, when you go through a trauma like this, we're going to go through a physiological change. We were one person before the event, we're somebody different after the event. The brain chemistry changes, everything changes. I kind of look the same, but I'm not the same anymore. The next part of what happens in that story is this. I was hanging out my tent to dry and all that kind of good stuff. And I'm sitting on the east shore next to this beautiful island and a beautiful lake. And one of my buddies walks by. And for whatever reason, this teenage boy pulls out a bottle of Captain Morgan spiced rum. And he says, have some of this, it'll help. And I'd messed around with alcohol before, but this time it was completely different. Because this time when I took that first drink of alcohol, I knew it was going to hit this thing right here. So I took that first drink. And from then on, I drank alcoholically until I was 45 years of age. I was 16 years old. So that's how we got to there. Now, if that isn't exactly your story, that's okay. Again, I'm going to ask you to take a look for the similarities and not the differences, because that's important. And now I'm going to talk about something that nobody ever wants to talk about, because I didn't even know was happening until I read DeKalb's book, The Body Keeps Score. So for 2 years previous to May 10th of 2023, 2021 is when these dreams started to really become vivid and more frequent. Nightmares. Have any nightmares? How about this? How about nightmares and muscle spasms? So your arms are so twisted up that you can't even move and they are locked in pain. That is one of the key identifiers that I took away from DeKalb's The Body Keeps Score, is people are having muscle spasms. Okay, well, before I got the information about why they might be happening, I thought, well, Bobby, you know what? You're under a lot of stress at work, and by golly, maybe I ought to drink more water, or maybe I ought to eat bananas. Bananas are really good for fixing muscle cramps. So, needless to say, the water and the bananas didn't do anything. But we're going to talk about what was inside of these nightmares. There's a beautiful building called St. Charles Hall. It lives on Carroll College campus in Helena, Montana. That's where I went to school at. And the registrar's office is in that building. And I would have these nightmares of running into the building, trying to find the registrar's office because I know I don't have enough credits to graduate, and I'm trying to resolve this. And I go up the staircase that leads you to 4th South. It's on the south wing. It's a huge, huge staircase. And I go in through a door, and by golly, it's the wrong door. It happens to be the women's dorm. And they're yelling at me to get out. And in fear, I slam that door and I go back down the staircase. I go in through another door. Guess what? It's some of my friends that I know, and they're saying, hey, what the heck is wrong with you? You're drunk already this morning? What do you got? Tests to fail? What's wrong with you? What is wrong with you, Bob? I'm thinking, oh my God, no, this is the wrong place too. So out through another door, and I find myself on the north side of the building, stuck away in a cubbyhole. And I'm crying, and I'm trying to find the registrar's office, and finally I make one last attempt. And again, I go into a hallway. It's the wrong office. And I'm lost, and I'm frustrated. And then the dream starts to shift. The nightmare becomes, I am back in the tent. All I can see is the black shape and the orange tent and the glow of a fire outside. And these murky shapes of black and orange, the smell of pipe tobacco, perspiration, the pherome of lust, this coppery taste in my mouth. And all of a sudden I'm triggered, I'm having a flashback again. And I cannot understand what it is. Can't put the two ideas together of what is happening to me. Guess what? Once I came to terms on May 10th of 2023, I understood exactly what was happening to me. All of a sudden I had the confidence to know that I am not going crazy. This stuff actually happened. And my body and my mind were working together to try to let me know the warning lights are on. We're flashing red lights. And here's the best thing about it all. Even though I'm flashing red lights and I have been sober for 19 years, the idea of drinking did not come to me. Because here's the deal. I trust God. I've cleaned house. I've helped other people. I believe in those ideas and those promises. I live within those promises of that book. So I knew this too shall pass. And once I put it on paper, the dreams have not come back. The issues have been resolved. The degree has been earned. So I did the extra work that it took because my body and my mind were telling me what it needed to heal it. And that's why I want to talk to you. When I came out of all this stuff, I went looking for help. There was nothing, especially written with the Boy Scouts in mind. I'm an Eagle Scout. I hold Vigil honors. You know what that means. Vigil. I keep look. I'm aware. When I don't find anything, I've got such a pile of paper in front of me, I am compelled to write this book to help you guys, you men and women, other human beings that have suffered under abuse and the thoughts that we live with. And that's why I put together a structured order of what I did and how it worked and how I am today, so it can be used for your benefit, using the 12 steps of any anonymous program that you pick or choose, Celebrate Recovery, whatever your spiritual answer is, cognitive processing therapy, and yoga. And that's what we're going to talk about the next time around. So until that, remember, you are loved, you are valued, and my vision in life is to do this, to love and support other victims of trauma, because we matter and you are worth it. I love you. Peace be with you. Thank you.